Welcome to another episode of Driving to the Res with your favorite hosts.
Gosh, I missed the first part again. With your
favorite hosts,
Larry
and
Inelia.
Ta-da! Kind of. We didn't do very good that time.
I'm feeling okay.
Yes, it's okay.
I'm feeling just okay.
You feeling okay about it? Or generally speaking?
Just generally speaking. Just okay.
Yeah, why is it just okay and not, yay, life is wonderful?
Well, because my refrigerator says okay on it.
Okay.
So I was thinking about how I was feeling today. I was feeling okay. Yeah. Not great. Not
why not
great?
I
think I know why.
Why? What happened?
I'm pretty sure we got stuck watching a great show on Amazon or something.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
And it was only supposed to have like one of the new ones.
One every week.
So we watched one.
Yes.
And at the place where it seemed like it ended, there's this little thing that says, it's going to start the next one in 3, 2, 1, go! And we're like,
why
would it do that? Because there's only one.
And
of course it was cliffhanger, so we had to watch a little bit more, which, you know,
one
thing leads to another, and for some reason they had another one after that one too, and it was pretty soon, it was 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah. So we stayed up very, very late.
And that's why you're not feeling so
good
today?
I jumped up out of the couch and ran to the TV to shut it off at 2 in the morning so that it wouldn't keep us up until 3. Because you know how temptations are, right?
Yes.
And we woke up extra early this morning.
I had a full day today.
Yes, we had a couple of calls.
We had the Spanish broadcast at 10 a.m.
The Spanish broadcast at 10 a.m.
on Saturday.
If you don't know what the Spanish broadcast is, can you fill us in a little bit, honey?
There's a lot of Spanish speakers in Walk With Me now. And they got together and organized a Spanish broadcasting channel on brand YouTube where we do a class every other Saturday. I think the first and the third Saturday, and the first, second and third Saturday we have a broadcast. And so that's what it is. Today wasn't either the third or the fourth, I'm thinking it was the fourth. This week, but what happened was last week we didn't have any of our technical people that could make it, so we moved it from the third week to the fourth week. But generally speaking, the first 3 Saturdays of every month we're going to have a Spanish broadcast. So if you speak Spanish, you're learning Spanish, you like Spanish, you can type in. We talk about, discuss, and have a class on various topics. It's very, very nice. And if you're an English speaker, just join Walk With Me now. We have that all the time.
That's every day.
Nearly every day, yeah, we do.
So how do you find you got a brand new tube, or how do you get notified if it comes
Telegram
out?
channel.
Telegram?
There's a Telegram channel, Inelia en Español.
Oh.
You look for that in Telegram and you'll find it.
Search for Inelia
en Español. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Share it, I guess, is a good idea if you want your Spanish-speaking friends.
Yeah, share it with your Spanish-speaking friends.
Right, because there is I know I don't speak a lot of Spanish, you know.
Yeah.
Not very much at all, actually.
Right.
Enough that I pretend like when I start like conversation, you're like, oh, he speaks Spanish, but then you're at the end of it.
After.
Hello, how are you? I'm fine.
Hola,
and you too?
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, y tú?
Muy bien, gracias. That's it?
That's it. I'm done. Yeah, but what I like is knowing that it's happening, honestly. Because it felt like a great big vacuum where that entire Spanish-speaking collective group.
Yeah. So I'm really glad these individuals stepped up, and took this on and started doing it. And extremely supportive. And not only that, but they're translating all the material. And Idoia is actually reading all the material, so we have audios as well. Brilliant. All the classes. She's got into the most beautiful, beautiful Spanish voice. It's gorgeous.
I also heard you speaking, I think it was Romanian this morning. You said something around I love you, but I don't know, but I'm thinking that's what you said because you had my name after it.
That was yesterday. Yeah, we have Romanian classes. Yeah. We
Do you
have...
remember how to say it?
No.
Oh, no.
I have to say,
video.
I'm very slow at picking up languages these days, so yeah. I need to rewatch the class video, but at Walk With Me Now we're having English classes, Spanish classes, Romanian classes, German classes, French classes. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, and I think it was, I think the idea was at some point or another you're learning the language, but it's more also of learning and translating the concepts and ideas of your classes or your
the material,
processing,
yeah, exactly,
or the material or the newsletter in the other languages, because until you start, I don't know, talking or hearing in other languages, you don't realize these things don't translate direct.
Yeah, that's right.
The words,
yeah.
like in German, they have a word for, what's that word?
End of the world timelines.
End of the world timelines. Yeah. That's a word.
In German, yes.
But they don't have that word in Romanian, probably, huh?
No.
They don't even have that word in English. That's just several words.
Right.
But some of the concepts don't directly translate easily.
Right.
Even though it seems like it should. It's like...
Yeah, but I also find it extremely expansive.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, to go into these classes. I mean, it just from the perspective of learning different languages, the value of connection with people who are super interesting, and we also do like the sexy time, 5 minutes of sexy, which
5
is
minutes
like
of sexy time comes from the French, of course.
Yes, of course. Yes, Julian, thank you. Where you learn how to say beautiful things to your loved ones or your loved one in that language. Like, you have beautiful eyes, or I love your name, or thank you for a beautiful dinner, or all the things that you could tell your loved one.
It's just nice, connecting, being able to connect with your, the peeps that speak your own language.
Yeah.
And, toss these ideas back and forth. I mean, most of us grew up, found these ideas and concepts and sort of felt like we were alone.
Yeah.
We're the only one that knows or
monoculture.
thinks this. It's like, nobody around us that speaks my language thinks
Right.
about these kind of things. But it turns out to be not necessarily true.
It's true.
But it doesn't mean it's easy to find other people. But
for us it is.
for
Just
us,
go to Walk With
it
Me
is.
Now.
Just go to Walk With Me Now. There you are.
I also, now that we're talking about languages, I want to give a shout out to all the countries that have good numbers of listeners to our podcast.
We're an international podcast.
Yeah, we are. And so, hello, United States of America. Yay! Hello, Romania.
Romania.
Yay! Do you want to say the next two?
Canada.
Canada?
Canada.
Canada? Hi, Canada.
Canada. Okay. Germany.
Yeah. Hi, Germany.
United
Germany.
Kingdom.
Hi, United Kingdom.
France.
Yeah.
Of course we have French.
Bonjour, France. The Netherlands.
Much Netherlands.
Oh, the German would be Auf Wiedersehen, right?
Auf Wiedersehen?
I think. Yeah. The Netherlands, yeah.
I just remember the wonderful way they say butterflies. I don't remember how you say it, but it's flooferfloppers or something.
Something like that. Australia, or is it Austria? Yeah,
It's Australia.
Australia. Bulgaria.
And Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so those are some of, if you're from a different country that's not listed here, you have to give us a shout out on the Telegram channel, Inelia Benz channel. Say, hey, I listened to the podcast and I'm in Chile.
Yeah.
Or Argentina. Or South Africa. We do have a listener in South Africa, actually, because they were commenting about the podcast and they said they were from South Africa, so. But for some reason it's not on our statistical data. Yeah, that's cool. Languages and connection. Yeah. So are you feeling...
I'm feeling more than okay now.
Yeah, they're okay because of just okay because you're a little bit tired from staying up too late.
Staying up late and working all day.
Yeah.
I had to make breakfast and then I had to I think I made a crab omelet for lunch, you know.
Yeah.
That was so good. And some spaghetti. I had to cook like 3 things today.
Steak. No, not steak. It was prime rib and lobster.
Oh, yeah.
For lunch.
We had.
There's just the regular leftovers at the shaman shack.
We had some leftovers for lunch. Yeah, and I put the solar trailer in the garage to work on it. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to Dr. Cowan. He said you're supposed to do hard things to make you strong.
He said, get strong enough that you can't be killed. That's what he said. If you're physically strong, you can't be killed. You have to get strong enough to not be killed. I thought that's but he said that. And you can do this, he said, the tiny little things. You do things that you haven't done before, and you push yourself a little bit harder so that every day you're a little bit stronger. So if you think about, okay, I want to do 20 push-ups, but you can't do one, then you do half of one the first day, and eventually after 30 or something days, you'll have done more push-ups.
Well, yeah, that sounds pretty much normal.
Yeah. But he said, it was an interesting way, though, that he put it, make yourself strong enough that you can't be killed.
Yeah, that's I thought it was really interesting cool. Way to
by the health thing, right? Health things, yeah.
Yeah, be strong enough that you're not easy to kill.
Yeah. I'm doing it. Yeah. I'm doing the Alka cures. I'm feeling a lot stronger these days, health-wise.
Well, yeah, today it was raining like cats and dogs, and it was dark. And we put on our rain gears and went tromping off in the field to the river.
Yeah, with all the dogs.
Check it out with all the dogs.
Yeah.
That's kind of strong.
Yeah. Not everybody does that.
Yeah. I put that trailer in by myself because it was hard to do. So I said, I'm going to figure it out. Of course, my back's a little sore right now. But
oopsie.
That makes my back stronger. I guess sore muscles mean they're growing.
Okay, got it.
I guess part of being strong so you can't be killed. I mean, last time we talked a little bit about free will. Mm-hmm. Yes. And how free will violation, if there was a free will violation on the planet.
Oh, there was some interesting questions around that actually in the Telegram channel.
Oh, good.
Yeah, for example, somebody asked, actually it might have been in Walk With Me Now. And somebody asked, I think it was Walk With Me Now. They said Inelia checks the planet every day to see if the violation, if anything's been violated, right? Free will. Why? Won't we know? Why do you have to look at it, right? And I thought that was a really interesting question because I thought, why do I do that, right? And one of the reasons to me personally is because I'm interested, I'm curious, and the effects, the consequences of it happening are not going to be instantaneously seen around the world, right? It's like moving the world or moving the human collective's consciousness. It's like driving a ship. You turn it, and then after about 5 minutes, the big ship turns, right? So it's a little bit like that. So I like to know when it's turning, And I've been checking, and actually it's like there hasn't been. And I was quite shocked and surprised that there hadn't been any violations of free will.
I know.
And we went back and forth about, do we want it to happen? It'd be terrible for the person.
We were walking the dogs, remember? And I said, I think there was a free will violation, honey.
That's right, you did, a couple of days ago.
I saw a thing on Telegram, I think it was.
Yeah.
In Australia, they were chasing they put the army around the village, and they're forcing everyone who didn't get their shot to get shots, holding them down and forcibly injecting them against their will.
You said, yeah.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
But
when I looked at it...
I remember when I looked at it, though, I was like, if somebody was doing that, would that count as a free will violation?
Right.
It would seem like it would have to.
Yeah.
Unless
you think so?
Unless, they were playing a role
a victim
aggressor purposely. Mm-hmm. Like, no, don't do it. But
you stayed there when they told you 3 weeks earlier to leave.
Yeah, but when I tapped into, when I did it myself, because I was watching it, I looked at it, I was like, this something not as said here. Doesn't feel like something as said here. Yeah. Feels like there's something not as they say it.
Misrepresentation.
It's either a misrepresentation or the people that got held down to get a shot were playing a role of some kind. I just wasn't able to clearly say, oh yeah, that's definitely a violation. I got more along the lines of, there was no violation there. No matter what it looks like or it's said like, there wasn't a violation there. It was clear to me. What did you see when you looked at it? Because I didn't say any of that. I just said, honey,
what do you
I'm
think?
pretty sure there's
sure.
free will violation. I mean, what, I mean, hold you down and inject you? Mm-hmm. That is the pure definition of against your free will, isn't it? Right. So how could that not be?
Right.
And then you tapped in, and what did you see?
I tapped in. What I saw was that it hadn't actually happened, right? Mm-hmm. And what I saw was these individuals had been given choices for a while. And if somebody says to you, okay, we're going to come over to your house on Tuesday afternoon, and we're going to force you to have a vaccine if you haven't got it yet. And it's let's say it's the Friday before that, right? Mm-hmm. Do you stay and hang out on Tuesday when you know they're coming? Or what do you do if it's in a country where you can't have guns or defend yourself, or even in a place with guns? Or do you go for a drive or take your boat out or something, right, that day?
Don't be there.
Exactly.
You don't be there.
You don't be there. And then I watched an actual formal request by several tribes of Aboriginal people in Australia. They also mentioned there was not just Aboriginal from Australia, but also from Ireland and Scotland. And they said, the world needs to know we're being oppressed, we're getting forced to have these injections. And then he said, because they're taking away our government money, or we're being forced to leave our village if we don't do it.
Or get quarantined.
Or we get quarantined.
They're not allowed to leave the village.
No, so they did say, did you not watch it?
Yeah, I thought their village was surrounded. They couldn't leave if they were...
Some of them were being forced out of their homes.
Oh.
You have to leave the village if you don't get it. Right? Mm-hmm. Some of them. Other ones being quarantined. Other ones were not being allowed to leave their home. Right? So it's all sorts of different...
a $5,000 fine.
So there was all these different situations that they were explaining, right? It wasn't somebody rounding them up, holding them down and injected them. They didn't say anything about that. But that's how it feels at a psychological level.
Right.
That's how it feels. But it is still a choice. The person has to say, okay, right?
Because they were actually getting $500 if they did it.
Right.
But they had to choose to do it.
Right. So that is a really, really important point. That's why at first when you said, I think there's been a violation of free will here, and I tapped into it and said, no, there hasn't been, but I don't know what's going on. And then I felt into that, it doesn't quite feel accurate what they're saying, right? And even if they had, they would have had a lot of warning beforehand that if you stay in whatever place, or you go to such a place, or you do this or you do that, that means that you're saying yes, right? And sometimes it's by omission, right? So it's like, okay, so everybody's going to get the job on Tuesday afternoon in the village, everyone. And you stay in the village, then by omission, by not leaving, right? Mm-hmm. But the situations around the world, and I did mention that there will be parts of the world where people will be forced. And I talked about this in 2019 or at the beginning of 2020. And in those situations, they have had months and months, a year and a half of warning. You know what the country's going to do. You know this. Just get out of there. Get out. And, you know, I've seen people getting out of places that other people say, it's impossible, I can't leave, right? And they do. So you can, if that decision is made by you at a higher self level, to not go down that path of fear and damaging your body and all these things, then this human collective, yourself, everything's going to support you. You're going to support you into creating and co-creating a very supportive situation for you to be safe. Right?
Right, exactly. And I mean, I guess the question I would get is this one of those situations where I should leave? Am I in one of those places that I should leave? How would I know, you know?
I think you'll know.
I think you know. What about the card you got the other day?
What card did I get, honey?
Remember? Third Eye?
Oh, yeah, what we're going to do.
We're going to have a little focus on third eye.
Yes.
Well, we asked the question of the high frequency collective.
Mm-hmm. Of all the collectives, right?
Right, not just human, but all the high frequency collectives in the metaverse.
Yeah, I don't know, but
not
that
metaverse.
was
No, metaverse.
no?
Metaverse is the
right, the computer game,
computer game thing.
the multiverse.
All the high frequency collectives that would be communicating with us.
Yeah.
And ask them for.
You asked me what would you like to ask?
What would you like to ask?
And I said I want to ask, what advice does this high frequency collective have for the human collective on Earth? For me to, send that message forward. I mean, what do they want? What advice do they give?
Need?
What do they want to give the human collective as advice? Right. That's what I asked.
Yeah. I think that it's important to understand the way you asked the question, and that's also important to make sure that we understood it. What I understood it to be is, what kind of things does the human collective need to be taught or shown or explored in 2022? Okay. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the answer was activation of the third eye.
Yes.
That was a thing to focus on. And what does third eye activation mean to you?
Expansion of awareness. To start being able to see clearly, perceive clearly.
If you're wondering if you're in the right spot, you would be able to tap into, expand your awareness and say, oh, clearly, no, or yes, or whatever.
Right.
And we were talking about it, creating a salve for massaging on your third eye.
Yes.
Because there's a third eye place too, besides just expanding your awareness. Third eye is supposed to be in your...
between your eyebrows.
Between your eyebrows, right?
Mm-hmm.
And inside your brain.
Yeah. And inside your skull, not in the brain, but inside your skull.
And it's also generates optical inputs, but it doesn't have like an eyeball.
Right.
And those inputs, optical inputs, go into your brain to help generate a picture, an image, knowing even. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about the salve idea? Something to rub on your third eye? You think that'd be a good thing?
I think it would be lovely. Yes. Yeah. If we make it, we'll let everybody know.
Well, if we make it, you'll darn right know, because it'll be a thing to use to wake up your third eye if it isn't already awake. Give it a good rub. Is there anything they can do now?
Yeah, well, in our mystical class, we have some mystical students. I taught everybody how to create. Actually, the methodology that I teach, you can create any type of elixir or salve for just about anything that you want to achieve. Mm-hmm. And in fact, we did create a third eye activation. It's like elixir, right? With crystals, essential oils, carrier oils and things. And you rub it on every day on your third eye. And it's really nice. It's very, very nice. I use it in the mornings. I use it at night. And it's really, really good. It's really nice.
I just want to have it be more available so more people can get some. You think the best way is to teach them how to make it, or to make some and...
We can do both.
Do a little bit of both?
We can do both. We can do a batch. And I like the solid part, because it's easier to mail those.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So we'll look into that, and we'll actually film how to make it. We'll put it on our channels. And if you don't want to bother making it, you can order it from us. But it won't be cheap, because it's really expensive to send stuff across the countries and the world, But also it's, made by us.
Yeah, it'll be good.
It'll be good, yeah.
Well, I was excited to see that, because I've always wanted to have my third eye activated.
So you use it every day, the one you did for your third eye?
No.
So that's the part of
firewalls,
and also you say you want something, but then you have a tool to get it, but you actually don't even use the tool.
How come people do that?
I know, it happens all the time.
But why?
Tell me why.
Remember what we were talking about earlier?
What?
Limitations.
Yes.
So some limitations are unconscious, I suppose. Some are conscious. Some are used, like we've talked about limitations in money before, right?
Mm-hmm. And health.
And health. You limit your health or you limit your money. So
there's
that
actually
you
a course
stay
about
small,
it.
things like that. Is there? What is it called?
Yeah, it's at ineliabenz.com and the store.
Yeah.
It's limitations and why you create them.
Yeah, that's a good class. Limitations and why you create them. Right. So you might think, well, I want $1 billion or whatever, but you don't have $1 billion.
So actually you don't.
So actually you don't. And why don't you? Why are you limiting yourself?
Uh-huh.
And the answers that we give when we start tapping in are pretty insightful, actually.
Yeah, they're very insightful.
Sometimes it's been programmed by outside people. Money's evil or bad, and if you got money, then you're going to be
evil and bad.
Evil and bad. That's the way it works. Mm-hmm. But that's, I guess, not necessarily true. If you're a high frequency individual.
One that I was taught as a kid was, you don't want to be a rich woman because then nobody's going to love you for who you are. They're just going to want your money. I know, it's non-secular, but it's like, that's what I was taught.
Okay. Did it work? Did it work out that way?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Well, no.
Did it limit you?
No.
Did you find yourself?
I don't know.
Did you find yourself like
wanting to be loved for myself and not my money?
That would be one. Or the other would be making or sabotaging your making monies.
So that I wouldn't.
So that they don't get a big stack of it.
Right. Probably. Yeah.
It's funny, those little things that don't seem like they should cause anything do.
Yeah.
Because we orchestrate and sabotage and we limit ourselves. I mean, the whole purpose of our existence here was in a lot of ways a limited experience.
In every single way, a limited experience.
On purpose.
On purpose, yeah.
To experience these...
Physical world. Yeah. You can't be omnipotent and have an experience as a person on the earth.
You could, but then what would happen?
You would destroy the game.
It would be over. It would not work. Exactly. It would not be fun. It was like, I mean, maybe for half an hour.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, why would I stay here and do that? Coming here is for this, not for that.
Right, exactly.
Right. When you think about it that way, then it starts to make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
So there's limitations that we were talking about.
And then orchestrating a believable story to get out of those limitations.
Well, what limitation do I put on myself, honey? Why would I get a third eye activation salve and then not use it if that's what I say I want?
Yes, and you're still saying you want one, and let's make one, and you made
one
already.
I'm so excited about the idea. Oh, I know why.
You already have it.
I know why.
Why?
Because I want it in a little soapstone.
Yeah, and then you won't use it either.
With the beeswaxy inside where you rub it and it gets warm and that little bit gets on your finger. And then you rub it on your third eye.
Uh-huh. And then you won't use it either. You won't use it either.
I might.
So you look at the why. Why do you want it? Why do you want to activate your third eye, honey?
Because.
What? You have to have a strong why.
Oh. I don't want to.
Why?
Because they don't know what's happening.
They'll know what's happening?
Yeah.
You don't want to know what's happening?
Well, I do sometimes. I want it to be like I have an eyelid. It opens when I want to see it, close back down. So I can take a peek, say, yep, I'm on the right I'm on the right path. Okay, close my eyes, now go down the path. I don't want to see what's around the corner until I get to the corner.
So that's a very interesting limitation, isn't it? You think that once you activate your third eye, you can't switch it off.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Even though visuals and senses you can actually turn... maybe you had an experience like that then in the past, where you couldn't turn it off.
Maybe.
Yeah. And that's also a limitation, right? Because when I was a teenager, I had an awful time of it because I could hear everybody's thoughts so loudly in my head. It was awful. It was really, really bad. And it was loud and it was constant. And it used to stress me out, like really, really bad. And I was staying at some friend's house, and his dad, boyfriend, and his dad, I went down to the kitchen. His dad used to make breakfast for everybody. He had a large, large family. And he used to make breakfast in the morning. So it was like he had 2 stoves in the kitchen, and he would grill the sausages and bacon and fry the eggs, and about 5 toasters, right? He had a large family. So he could have first thing, and then you could smell the breakfast in the morning. You knew it was up time. So you'd go downstairs to the kitchen, and he'd be in there cooking, right? So I got up, and I went downstairs, and I was just overwhelmed with everybody's thoughts. And I walked in, and I just looked at him, and he looked at me and says, he said, it doesn't have to be that way. And I says, what do you mean? He says, you don't have to hear everything. And I didn't know why he knew, right? And he says, I do that. I have that too. And he said, all you need to do is to imagine a lever, right? And then just turn the lever down and tell it to slow down. That the lever controls the volume. And then you can turn it down. And then if you want to hear, you just turn it up again. It's very simple. And we did it in the kitchen a couple of times, and it worked. And I thought, wow, that's amazing, right? And I didn't even ask him at another time I came down the stairs, and I was also very a bit upset. He looks at me and he said, you didn't make it happen. And it was because I'd seen the future. I used to remember the future a lot.
Right.
And there was a situation that I remembered, and then it happened, and it wasn't a nice situation, right?
So you kind of blame yourself?
I thought I was causing it. I mean...
By thinking bad thoughts, it causes it to happen? Or
yeah, like by seeing that
by seeing it, brings
vision, yeah, like that premonition, you see it, and you think, I was like, 15, right? So I didn't know what was going on, right? So he said, you didn't cause it, right? And I didn't say anything. I just walked in, and he just said, you didn't cause it, right? And I said, are you sure? And I says, yeah, I'm 100% sure. He says, but how can you be so sure? He says, because that's what happened to me, right? And I learned, and I studied, and I learned, and I found the teacher, and the teacher told me and showed me and proved it. These things you can see, these are like things that are happening or about to happen or are going to happen, but it's not because you're thinking them, you're just seeing them. You don't cause them. It's like, oh, right? But he said, you need to learn this now, he said, because if you don't, you might end up like me. And I looked at him and says, well...
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? Right? He says, well, tell you what happened. He said, I couldn't switch it off, so I became an alcoholic. And I decided that I was going to drink myself to death. That was my choice because I didn't have an escape. All these visions that I could see, and I thought I was creating it all. I was riddled with guilt. I just I couldn't handle it, he said. So I just drank, because if I started drinking, I didn't see things, and I couldn't feel things, and I couldn't hear things. So I drank, and I drank, and I drank. He said I was about 20-something, and one day I drank so much that I was taken to the hospital. And I woke up in the hospital, and there was what did he say? Oh yeah, he said, my liver, he said, was bigger than in my body was about 3 times my liver was about 3 times it should be.
3 times the size it should have been.
Yeah. It was so bad, right? So that's how he was killing himself. And he went in, and the doctor said to him, okay, he said, I've got a busy hospital, I've got a lot of patients, if I can operate for you, and I need to cut about 2/3 of your liver off. If I do that, you may or may not survive, but it's going to use a lot of resources in this hospital. Is it worth it? You're going to stop drinking? And he said no. So the doctor said, okay, let's leave, and they left him. And he died. Right, he died. And then he woke up in the morgue.
My gosh.
Right, he woke up in the morgue, and he realized, oh, I kind of made a mistake. Okay, so he got out of the morgue, and he got himself back to the ward in the hospital. He was still in the hospital morgue.
Did he have a toe tag?
Yes,
oh my
he
gosh.
had everything. He got back to the ward. They saw him walking, and everybody like panics,꯫ takes him back to bed. The doctor comes back and says, okay, so what's going to happen then? And he said, I'm going to stop drinking.
Yeah, I think so.
So, okay, so then they used all the resources and cut 2/3 of his liver out and all the recuperation things and everything else. And then he got out of there. He never drank again. And he never did drugs or anything like that. And instead he found himself a shamanic teacher, La Machi from Chile. Because he was a Chilean guy. And then he learned a lot of these things. He learned that, no, he wasn't causing that. He learned how to turn the volume down and all these other things, right? He learned a lot of stuff. He learned to make art and channel all that energy through art and sculptures and things like that. And then he got married and had about 12 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Changed things quite a lot.
Yeah.
So
when you see it's not like you can't switch it off. You do have the ability to turn it down or off, you know. If you don't want to see something, you can turn it down. And if you want to see something, you turn it up. Right? You have control over your third eye. It's not like totally you're under its force, you know, power or whatever.
Well, I already put some of that third eye activator on anyway. Mm-hmm. And I was using it.
And it started
to
working?
check into the Australia thing.
Yeah.
And also closed it too. But I was thinking about it and why I wouldn't be doing it every day. Mm-hmm. And it was illuminating why. That was why. Yeah. But yeah, I can turn it off. It doesn't have to be on all the time.
No, it doesn't.
Activated means it works.
Exactly.
Would you rather have it works and you don't use it, or it don't work and you want it?
Right.
I think plenty of us walk around with our eyes closed most of the day. So having your third eye open doesn't mean it's always open anyway, probably, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I think we can manage it. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be a very interesting world to experience with millions of people's third eyes activated.
That would be cool, yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
They won't be so easily manipulated. Mm-hmm. Unless they want to be manipulated, right?
Correct, yes.
Worthwhile.
The third eye activation. It's very nice. Yeah, that's what the high frequency collective said we should guide the human collective to do.
I got a new deck of cards, and they came very, very messy.
Oh my gosh, that's never happened to me before. Do you want to talk about what happened?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and tell them.
Me tell them?
Well, what was going on in my mind is I was perusing my places that I look for stuff. This happened to be, I think it was Facebook.
That explains a lot. That explains a lot.
And while I was scrolling through Facebook, I saw an announcement for a new deck of cards that had to do with high frequency activations.
Okay.
Like, oh yeah, that got my attention.
Yeah.
And then I remembered someone I know very close to me is coming up with a deck very soon, an oracle deck. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to see how this very famous person was handling the launch. Mm-hmm. You know, I was interested. It's like, how do you find it? What is he doing and how is the functions? How does the website work? What do you do? So I clicked on it and, you know, well, he did a good job. Let's just say that.
Yes, clickbait.
Great video. Great click, great landings place. Really good art, really good explanation for how it works. Sample readings and all that. So I had to buy it. Uh-huh. I bought one and it came in the mail. Uh-huh. And it came quite quickly.
Oh, nice.
And oh my God, the box looked good and I gave it to you. So go ahead, take it from here, honey.
Oh my God. So I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know anything about the cards.
No nodding.
I pick up the box and I nearly puke. It was
honey, look at my new cards.
Bad. It was so bad. And I'm like, I can't touch those. Oh my God. I said, is this guy jabbed? And you said, I don't know. I think he might be. Because this is bad. This is really, really bad. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And you said, but they're lovely. Look at these cards. They're so nice. Okay. So I ran into the other room and I grabbed my sage. Yeah. I lit it up and I went back. And I don't know if we know anything about sage, but when sage detects negativity, it'll smoke really hard. Really thick
it smokes
smoke.
hard. It goes right to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The smoke is smart.
Yeah. The smoke is smart. And I put it near the cards and it just went into, I mean, it was like a cloud, a thick cloud of sage going into the cards. Yep. right? And you separated all the cards and then the
separated them
book
all,
and everything.
And the book,
And I said,
page.
and then disconnected. What are you going to connect them with? And you said, okay, I'm connecting them to the high frequency collective, not the human collective, but all the collectives. So I says, okay, so do that. And then we did that for a few minutes. How long do you think? About 10 minutes, 20 minutes? I don't know.
It wasn't super long because they were eager to connect.
Yes.
They were eager for a way to speak.
Right.
Because I have a card deck, a deck of cards that I use for speaking to Gaia, specifically and only. So if I have a question, I want to talk to Gaia about it. Or somebody I know has a question, I want to hear from Gaia, what's Gaia's position or impression or whatever, then I can work it. Mm-hmm. And those are connected and they stay connected. It's like a cord.
Yes.
So these were with the intention of connecting the high frequency collective, which we're asking for some cards to use. Basically, I'm orchestrating that communication.
Oh, okay. So the high frequency collectives wanted cards for you to communicate with them.
Yes.
So you went out, got some cards, they arrived, but they were monster cards.
They were monster cards, right. So we had to cleanse them.
Yes, we did. We cleansed them.
And we did a very good job of it.
Yes.
And then they were available.
Yes.
And clean.
Yes.
And they got linked up quickly.
Did. Yeah.
Because oh, excellent. Good job,
The
guys.
cleaning it was a while, but the link was fast.
Yes. Didn't take long.
No.
And it's not a complicated thing. It's basically...
It's quite simple. You sage them,
agreements.
cleanse them, and connections and boundaries, very strong boundaries, right? Mm-hmm. Anyways, move forward a day, we're talking to somebody about it, and they say, actually, yeah, I heard that guy is actually jabbed. So, somebody told me that guy's actually jabbed. And we go, oh, that explains everything.
That explains
now, I want to clarify, and especially if you're jabbed yourself, right? You're listening to this podcast. I'm not trying to demonize you here, okay? This is a spiritual teacher, somebody who is responsible for thousands of people's, influencing thousands of people, maybe millions of people around the planet. This is not somebody who, who's somebody's dad or mom or children or whatever. It's literally somebody who should know better. Yes. Should know better. Now, it doesn't turn people into evil people. Just because a person is vaccinated doesn't mean they turn into an evil person. That's not true. They're just choosing what we already have.
They're just saying, I like it like it is.
I like it like it is, like dark wars, torture, and love.
Helping people, healing people, whatever.
All those things.
Saving people.
Right. But this is a different situation. These are tools. This is a guide, somebody who influences, and he should know better. Right? He should know better. And it didn't do good. It wasn't a good connection. So it wasn't just about himself choosing whatever high frequency, higher self choice and implementing it in his life. But there were some other things. There was evil intent there. So they were like intent to be a Lightworker trap.
Probably,
right?
yeah. And
that was bad, right? That is bad. It's not just, okay, this is my choice, I'm going to do it, and this is what I'm doing, right? It's not that. There was evil intent behind it. Like a Lightworker trap energy. It made me feel sick. I knew nothing about this guy. I didn't know nothing about these cards. And that's never happened to me before. I've had thousands, but hundreds of different card decks in my life. I've never touched one with enthusiasm to see what they're like and feel sick. I had to drop them. That's never happened to me before. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So it's not theoretical as far as I'm concerned. It's real.
It's real.
It's a real choice. Yeah.
Shocking, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's shocking and surprising that, well, for a long time I thought people who had an expanded awareness would see clearly. I mean, it's...
Shocker.
It seems obvious that it's not true. I mean, it is obvious that it's not true. But from the space of when you're first becoming, I guess, awake to a larger world, and then you find the spiritual teachers who are saying all these things that are like, they couldn't know that unless they're really, really tapped in, you know? They really, really open their eyes. They really know what's going on. Otherwise, they would have no way of saying this. But then
they come out
you
with
find out that they're, just because that doesn't mean they're high frequency.
Right, that doesn't. Because the person
they're
can
manipulating
be,
people,
right.
They're taking advantage of people, they're abusing people, they're all kinds of things. Just because they're expanded awareness does not mean they're high frequency.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is obvious, but not so obvious all at the same time.
Right.
Because you trust these, I guess that's part of how the Lightworker trap works. You trust that if they could see that, they wouldn't consciously choose to do harm to other people.
Right. That's what got me about this guy, is that Lightworker trap, and he felt the evil intent behind it. Right. That's what got me.
Well, thank goodness that it really isn't that complicated or difficult to clean that evil intent off.
No. And I have lots of friends who are jabbed, and I purchased art from somebody who's jabbed, and it's like, they didn't have that energy around them, right? It was their choice. It's their choice of what they want to live, and, they're afraid, and they believe the whole thing, and it's their higher self choice to continue in a light-dark paradigm. And they continue living their life, But this guy, no, it was different. It was evil intent behind it, for sure.
My gosh. I didn't expect that. See, I had my third eye closed for that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But that's one of the things. Mystics should never work alone.
Right. Yeah. What is the mystic that works alone called?
Stupid?
Yes. And that doesn't mean that you have to sit together every single time to do mystical work and do the scene. No. It means that you're working on something, you see something, you want to clarify, you need to clarify with another person. And those other people that you clarify it with or get input from, they don't even need to know each other. For years, I worked with 3 different mystics, and none of them knew about the others. None of them knew each other. And it didn't matter, right? Didn't matter. And then I worked with 3 people that actually knew each other. And that was a different thing, completely different thing. And now we're working with a group of 5, right? And everybody knows each other. In fact, we do meet and do the work together. So it's all very different dynamics. But yeah, don't work alone. Check things out, right?
Anything else on your mind?
Well, we're going to be having a live broadcast call. And
a live broadcast call, probably on Brand YouTube.
Probably Brand YouTube and Telegram. I don't know if we can actually also do it in YouTube and Facebook. I don't know. But definitely.
We don't even have a Facebook anymore.
No, we don't.
It got,
hacked.
hacked and turned into
some weird thing.
Some Filipino food thing.
Yeah.
Truly, it did.
Whatever. So, we do have that coming up. And so stay in touch. If you haven't yet, go to ineliabenz.com and subscribe to the newsletter so you know when it's coming. Go to the Telegram channel, Inelia Benz public channel. We're going to tell you when and where and when to turn up. We're going to be looking at 2022. Okay?
Let me tell you, when you did a look at 2019, what's coming for 2020, I was like, holy crap. And 2019, in October, it was like, I don't know if you guys remember what the old world was like before everything, injection and everything else related. It was like, da 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 da, just going to catch some fish and da 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 da, have an event and we can travel, let's go to Europe or whatever. In 2019, you said, it's over. You better X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You get your, all that. Yeah. And I was like, holy crap. Because I never heard you ever give a warning
mandate.
Like that. A mandate, exactly.
The mandate for the Lightworkers. The Lightworkers mandate. I think I'll write it out.
You guys need to do this now.
Yeah.
It was
I've never done that before.
Yeah, I'd
Don't
never
feel comfortable
heard you
with
say that before. So, when you say, I'm going to have a look, I suggest that you turn up, people.
Yes.
Because
it's going to be looking. And
it's going to be
it's a
worthwhile to
mystical
know.
job.
Open your
it's a
eyes and
mystical
have a
work.
seat.
Yeah.
Open your eyes and have a seat. Why not?
Yeah.
So this is basically your invitation.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you have subscribed on
ibenz.com newsletter. Go to the Telegram channel, Inelia Benz public channel. Subscribe. So that you can know when it's coming, when we're going to be broadcasting this, and you can be there and ask questions and whatever's.
Yeah, or whatever's. So have a good look at what's coming. Because I have a feeling 2022, I mean...
I'm not going to start looking.
Well,
wake up call!
I think 2022 alarm.
Yes, it's 2022 is an alarm, man. You better open your eyes.
Right when you think things are getting easy, there's this big tsunami of something. Feels like it on the edges of coming. Anyways, I want to know what's coming. So I'm going to be there.
Okay, cool. It's a date, honey.
Okay, honey. You feel complete? I know the alarm went off. I think we're done.
We're done.
We're going to get out of here.
Yes.
Love you, babe.
Love you, darling.